So out of nowhere, Kendrick Lamar just released a surprise album titled GNX. Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan. So just like many of you, I was surprised that Kendrick dropped an album today. I wasn't expecting Kendrick to drop an album at all this year. I knew it could have been a slight possibility, but I was in no way, shape, form, or fashion anticipating Kendrick to drop an album today of all days. I was expecting him to drop a project either right before the Super Bowl, maybe like a week before, or not too long after the Super Bowl. But here we are. First things first that I want to say about the album, decent album. Now, on a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it anywhere from a 7 to maybe a 7.6. My opinion could change over the next week or so. I'm definitely going to need about 2 to 3 more listens to have a more final and valid opinion. But I definitely enjoyed my first listen. I literally just got finished listening to the album right before setting up and recording this video. So I just wanted to share my initial thoughts with you guys and, just give some insight on how I'm feeling right now about the album, because I'm still trying to process things. I will say there's not really anything bad to say about the album for me, but there are some shortcomings. It didn't hinder the album to the point where it was bad, but it did hinder the album to a bit where my thought process was like, I wanted to hear more of this from Kendrick. I wanted to hear more of that from Kendrick. I wish I got more of this from Kendrick. That's probably the only con or the only downside to the album. But I'm going to start off with the good. So first, I want to start off with my top 6 tracks out of the 12 tracks on the album. My top 6 tracks on GNX in no particular order would be Whacked Out Murals. That might just be my favorite song off of the album between that and Reincarnated. That is a strong contender for my favorite so far. I love the Tupac sample. Kendrick brought that raw, emotional, aggressive passion with the rapping on that song. Reminded me a little bit of Tupac, and it makes sense because Pac, of course, is Kendrick's biggest idol when it comes to hip-hop. And also, it's a Tupac sample, so again, it makes sense. Another song that I enjoyed was TV Off. I like Squabble Up. I know some people might have mixed feelings on Squabble Up, but for me, it was a catchy West Coast bop. And another thing with that song and with the whole album in general, it's very West Coast themed. And that's something I'm going to get into a bit more as well. But moving on, I enjoyed Luther. SZA did a thing on that song. Kendrick was more melodic on that song, but I appreciated that because I think that brought somewhat of a balance on the album. It kind of toned it down a bit, and eventually it built back up into that hardcore rapping from Kendrick. Another song that I enjoyed was The Heart Part 6. Definitely cannot leave that one out of there. And for the last but not least spot, for the 6 tracks that I enjoyed the most, I would have to say probably Dodger Blue. And again, this is just my initial thoughts. So again, it could change. Like, my top 6 next week might be completely different when I give my final review, but I did enjoy Dodger Blue. Again, nothing bad to say about the album, but there were some shortcomings. Certain songs that I listened to, like a TV Off, right? A lot of times on the second half of these songs, that's when Kendrick really tapped into his lyrical bag and just went batshit fucking crazy. In the beginning of the song, not in a bad way, but he started off kind of slow, and I think I just wanted to see a bit more rapping from Kendrick, only because I know, just like many of you, when Kendrick gets into that lyrical bag, he can rap just as good as anybody on planet Earth, and I firmly believe that. So I think I just wanted to see a bit more of the spitting, the bars, the rhyme play. I wanted to see a bit more of that from Kendrick on this project, but nonetheless, it was still some decent wordplay and rhyme schemes throughout the album overall. And kind of going back to what I said not too long ago about it being very West Coast themed. So, of course, Kendrick being from the West Coast, having a lot of influence from West Coast artists or previous West Coast artists that came before him. Tupac being the biggest, guys like Snoop, Ice Cube, the rest of NWA. We haven't gotten a heavy themed or heavily themed West Coast sound type of project from Kendrick, I would say possibly since To Pimp a Butterfly, maybe even Good Kid Mad City. So I'm glad that Kendrick had went back into that on this album. And I would say that this would be definitely top 10 of the year, or amongst the top 10 best rap albums of the year, maybe towards top 5. Again, I'm going to need more time to solidify my feeling on that and where I would rank it amongst other rap projects from this year. But overall, decent project. There were a bit shortcomings, but it wasn't that serious to where it hindered the project, because I still think that this is amongst the better rap albums from this year. So I enjoyed the project overall, and I'm going to do another video talking about the album again, giving probably like my final review of the album and my final thoughts and what I think is next for Kendrick Lamar. So y'all stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of content on the way. Comment down below what you think about GNX. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Are you in between? And what do you think this means going forward from Kendrick Lamar? And what are you looking forward to in terms of Kendrick? But thank you guys so much again for watching. And until next time, peace and love to everybody.